big part of this work came out of what is equity? And we utilized the definition from Achieving the Dream. And I'll read it just as it is because I want all of us to see really what this means, what equity means. And again, every institution is going to have their own definition of equity, but it should all be planted in this foundation of some similarities here. So Achieving the Dream believes that access to high quality education in an inclusive environment is the right of all individuals and imperative for the continued advancement of a strong democracy and workforce. Achieving the Dream also believes higher education institutions have an obligation to work toward better equity for their students. Equity then is grounded in the principles of fairness. In higher education, equity refers to ensuring that each student receives what they need to be successful through the intentional design of the college experience. So again, equity is grounded in fairness. What is going to be there to help every student succeed, whatever their success and goals are? We just need to make sure we've given them the fairness there to be able to do that. Now, an important aspect of achieving equity is dismantling barriers. So what are those barriers that may be in place?
Our Closing the Equity Gap subgroup identified 2 initial steps that are important to the process. The first is define equity and to create a statement of commitment to equity mindedness. The Achieving the Dream statement that Tiffany discussed earlier might serve as a framework, but colleges should consider their own community and student population when developing their definition of equity. Subpopulations might be historically underserved groups, such as racial and ethnic minorities and first-generation students. In addition to defining equity, goals and a timeline for achieving the goals should be established, as well as a system to track progress. It's not enough just to create a statement of equity, but goals must be established to make sure that progress is being made. The second point is that post-secondary institutions should review and amend policies and practices that perpetuate inequities in order to impact a broader community of learners. And this has become increasingly important in recent months, largely because of COVID-19 and inequities that have become more obvious during this time. We defined the steps in the student experience, including connection and recruitment, entry and enrollment, progress and persistence, completion and transition. Transition might be going into the workplace, or it could also be transferring to a baccalaureate institution. And it's important that equity mindedness be infused in every aspect of the adult learner experience. If it's not, an individual might not make it to that next step. Connection and recruitment, which is the first step in the process. Adult students often re-enroll after stopping out. They might have stopped out because of family obligations, financial reasons, a multitude of reasons. They may have dependents and caregiving responsibilities. Many are single parents. Many have aging parents they're also responsible for. Many work full-time or part-time, and they attend school on a part-time basis. They're employees and family members first, students second. So their family has greater importance to them than being a student. Many are financially insecure. About 60% of adults in the US have thought about returning to college, but 70% don't believe they can afford it. So they need good information about financial resources that can help them accomplish their goals. They need flexible schedules, expanded financial aid, and education and career bridging. As we discussed earlier, many students are also parents, and student parents are quite likely to be financially insecure, living in poverty or near poverty. Among Blacks, almost 80% of student parents are at or near poverty levels. In our next slide, we include data on the share of students by race and the share of students who are parents by race and ethnicity. As you can see, in all cases, women are more likely to be student parents than men, but Blacks are more likely than any of the other racial and ethnic groups to be parents. And that is for both men and women. And more than 2 in 5 student mothers are single, so they may not have a support system at home so that they can have childcare to attend college. We have 2 recommendations for connection and recruitment. And the first is to operate in ways that attract and retain students by validating their work experience via adult-friendly strategies like offering prior learning assessments and providing flexible course offerings. For example, if a student can get credit for their prior learning, whether it be an actual class or work experience, it shortens their time to completion, and they may feel that it's more attainable. Institutions and state officials should thoughtfully shape the expansion of Pell and other financial opportunities for subpopulations in response to recognition of long-time structures, policies, and practices that have led to inequitable outcomes for learners. There have been various proposals over the years to expand Pell so that more people will be eligible for shorter-term programs or to take fewer credits at a time. And those should be, we should encourage our politicians to move those forward. And we should also encourage policies at the state level to finance adult learning.